to another episode of Dirtnation Offroad. So today, we're here at the Westin warehouse and we're gonna do some installs. So you've seen me wheel the Gladiator. I wheeled it in stock form and I wheeled it a couple times in this lifted form. There is a couple things that are really scary is when you're on the trail, rocks start shifting and you gotta protect the undercarriage. So today, that's what we're all about. We're gonna put armor all underneath. It's all provided by Westin. Huge shout out to Dave and the team. We're gonna protect the Gladiator to make sure we can keep wheeling it without having any issues. So I'm gonna open up a couple boxes, set them on the table, and then walk through and review it and how it looks and what it does exactly and what it covers. So Gladiator's looking good. So as you guys have seen, most of the stuff is already Westin. Rear bumper, fenders, front bumper, and then obviously super winch with the winch. Armor is the next big step to creating like a safer trip. So if you go out anywhere, big rocks start shifting, we don't have to worry about it. So give me a second, I'm gonna set up the table and then I'll show you what they look like. Alrighty team, so like I said, I set the stuff up all on this table, took it out of the box, it's all packaged really nice. The first thing we're gonna do is the oil pan skid plate. That's pretty much what it looks like. It looks like it's all 1/4 inch steel, got their logo, so it's vented out, and it looks pretty nice. It's actually solid. It's nice and heavy. Obviously your skid plates should be solid so that way when you do hit them against a rock, they don't break or give up. So all the welds are nice, paint's nice. I mean, obviously as you use them, you're gonna have to touch it up so you don't get rust or anything like that. The next piece is the transmission piece. So this is actually a 2-piece set. So this one connects first, and then you actually put the second piece right underneath it, and that's the second piece. Also very nice. It's in the black also. Again, you'll have to touch it up as you move, as you hit some rocks. That way just, you keep rust away from it, so it's solid. And everything comes with its own hardware. So this box is for the center. The oil pan came with the little bag. Instructions and everything are in there. And then the skid plate is the last one. Comes with its own bushings and everything you need to install it. This is a big daddy. That's what the skid plate one looks like. And these are heavy. So you'll notice some weight on your truck, but peace of mind is obviously better than actually worrying about the weight and whatnot. This one's gonna protect your transfer case. This one's gonna protect the transmission. And obviously that one's gonna protect your oil pan. I'm gonna take all the hardware out, look at the instructions briefly. We're lucky enough to have a lift here, so we'll be able to lift it and install them real quick. I'll do a time lapse of it all, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's installed. Briefly break down what you have to take off and what goes on, and then yeah, we'll wrap it up. So thanks for sticking around. Give me some time to set this all up, and then I'll show you. So the first part we're going to install is the oil pan skid plate. It's pretty simple. This bracket goes up in the front. You link it up, and then all the bolts and the rest of the hardware set up in the back. So I'll show you what it looks like real quick, just so you guys can see so these 3 bolts here, you can barely see it. Yeah, those 3 bolts there, that's where the bracket goes down. It hangs down a little bit, then you bolt on the rest of it. And then these 2 bolts here, you can barely see it, but those 2 come off. You loosen them, put the thing in there, and then tighten it back up, and then it'll cover up the rest of this. So I'm gonna time lapse the rest of it because you don't need to see it. All you need is a 15 for these back ones, a 13 for the front ones, and then you use all the Westin hardware to set it up. So give me a second, and then all right team, so these back bolts, when you're putting on the longer bolt that they give you, it actually touches these lines here, so you got to make sure you unbolt these 2 to pull this down a little bit, just so it lets you get that bolt inside. So we're gonna go ahead and hang the actual oil pan skid now. It'll protect all of this right here. Alright team, so this is what it looks like once it's on. It covers the oil pan. It has space for the drain plug. When you do install this piece of it, the little bracket, make sure that the actual skid plate goes on the inside. And honestly, make sure you don't tighten anything till the very end, just so you can get all the bolts in correctly. And then at the end, snug everything in. So everything is on now. That's what it looks like when it's on. But it looks pretty sweet. Sorry for the minimal lighting. But once it's in there, bolt everything else on. Tighten it, and then we'll move on to the next one. Check that out. And then it says Westin up here, and it goes all the way across. Oil pan skid is on. We're gonna move on to the transmission one. So the transmission one is a little bit more difficult because this is 2 pieces. There's a couple more bolts and a Torx that you'll actually need to remove it. But the kit comes with bolts, washers, everything you need, and then the brackets to extend it to drop it down so you can protect it. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like on the underneath piece. So what you gotta do first is you gotta loosen up this bolt, the one down here, and then these 2 right here, and then we'll have a bracket that goes here, a bracket that goes there, and then it sits underneath. So I'm gonna time lapse while I install that piece and set it, and then I'll show you a little bit more of the details. If I get stuck somewhere, I'll show you guys where I had a little bit of issue, because I'm sure you guys will run into something similar, and how to adjust it and set it up. So we're gonna set this up. I'm gonna go grab the parts, tools that I need, and then we'll start installing it. Hang tight. Alrighty team, so once you're done, this is what it'll look like. This bracket will be facing, all the clean sides will be facing out towards, you know, the visible side. So like if anybody looks underneath, it'll look nice and clean. Then what you want to do is, now that it's all loose, it's still there, make sure everything lined up correctly. Then you're gonna go back and tighten it all down. So what I would do first is tighten the part that goes onto the Jeep. These brackets up here, they're all 10s. Tighten those first, and then come back down here and tighten these so that way nothing moves. We're gonna do that real quick, and then we're gonna move on to the back piece. Again, this was a 2-piece transmission setup, and I'll show you how that goes. So it looks pretty sweet. There's one piece, and there's the other one, both equally nice. So yeah, I'm gonna tighten that down, and then move on to the next one. Team, so we just finished putting on the skid plate. It's all nice and tight now. It looks really nice, like I said before. So we're gonna end up putting the second plate on. So the second plate we're gonna remove this bolt right here, and then they give you these little, like, I don't know, they're welded tabs with the screw, with the nut on them. So the screw's gonna go in there. So you put it in through these little holes, you put it in there, and then that's what you're gonna use to tighten it. So we're gonna loosen this one up first, take that one off completely, and then mount it, put the bolt back in, let that hold the skid plate, and then that'll make these a little bit easier. So I'm gonna go get what looks like to be either 19 or 21. We'll take that off, and then we'll keep it moving. Damn, look at this skid plate's all beat up too. So unfortunately, they don't have a gas tank one just yet, but they are gonna release one for the GT. But yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna go get the bolts that I need, and then we're gonna get with it. So like I said, I removed the factory bolt. That's actually the 3/4 bolt, so you can remove that. I put it on there, and it's hanging right now. But what we're gonna do is these little latches that they give you with the nut, you're gonna use it to put the bolt through it. So, and then the bolts come with washers, lock nut, and everything you need, so that way you can screw it on. So I'm gonna set this down and get to work. Alrighty team, so I got them both on. So just a real recap, these are gonna be 17s. You just snug them all on. Once it's set where it's supposed to be, you tighten them all up. This is a 3/4. These are all 12s, I believe, 13s. And then the little ones are 10s. That's what that looks like when it's finished. I'm gonna snug it all up, and then we'll grab the last piece. That's the transfer case part. I'm pretty sure we're gonna remove this one, and then it installs afterwards. What's good about this one is it actually keeps all your factory pieces, so you just bolt onto that. I'm not sure if this is gonna get removed or not, but we're gonna check, because the big daddy goes right here. I'm gonna go get that other piece, snug these all up real quick, and then we'll do finish up and yeah, wrap it up. All right team, so the last and final piece is the one that goes here. This is a transfer case skid, like I said. So what you want to do first is take these 3/4 bolts off. We'll remove those two. That's where we're gonna first set the skid, put those in loosely, and then what we're gonna use is these two mounting points right here to mount it on. They gave you spacers and the bolts that you need to put it in there. This factory one stays on there too. So, because these are welded tabs, so unless you remove the whole thing, you actually have double protection, which is really nice. We're gonna get to it. I'm gonna time lapse this install. This one should be relatively quick. Like I said, we remove these two bolts, put it, set it, use the rest of the hardware to link it up to there, and then we're set. So stick around. All right, so this one's actually a little heavier, and since I'm here and I have Dave here, I'm gonna go grab him. He's gonna hold it up for me so I can put the two bolts in. But if you're under your truck and you're doing it, you might have to use your body weight, push it in, then screw them on, which might be a little bit easier. I'm just not gonna struggle. I got some help. So I'm gonna go get Dave. We're gonna hold it up, and then we'll start doing it. Dave's like Sasquatch. You know he's around, but you never see him. But he's here. He's gonna help me. He's gonna hold it up basically so I can get these two bolts here. And once that's set, I can actually set these other two. So he's gonna help me out with that. I'm gonna set down the camera, and you guys can watch us do it. The last two pieces of hardware after you put those 3/4 bolts in are these right here. You know the rules: lock nut, washer, bolt. You do get a little spacer, if you can see it in there, that you have to put in between to sandwich all this together. But after you tighten those up, you tighten these two up, and that's a wrap. So I'm gonna tighten them up real quick. You guys can watch me do it, and then we'll show you the final product. And then yeah, it looks awesome. So stick around. Let's get it. So that wraps it up. That's all the skid plates that we got from Westin installed now. Again, transfer case, transmission, all the way up to the oil pan. So, and they look super sweet. It looks like they added, it feels like each one's about 20 pounds, maybe a little less. You guys can check all the specs out. We'll put the links below to all three sets of the skids, and then you guys can compare the weights and all that. That's it right here. They look beautiful. Westin did a really good job with them. Obviously they're gonna get beat up, that's what they're for, but I would always come back, touch them up so they don't get all rusted. And obviously these bolts are gonna get beat up too, so that might be an issue later. But for now, they look awesome. It's gonna protect oil pan. Transmission is gonna have a little bit more defense, and then also your transfer case here. So that looks awesome. I'm gonna clean up and then I'll close it out with you guys shortly. So that wraps it up. Oil pan, transmission, transfer case. Shout out to Westin, shout out to Dave. But yeah, they're all installed. If you guys are ever looking for skid plates, take a look at the Westin skid plates. They're nice and tough, cool finish, and then obviously they're gonna get beat up anyways, so you're gonna have to probably respray them just so you don't get any rust on them. It's a good piece. We're gonna link all the product numbers below, and if you have any questions, hit us up. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, YouTube, all the social media platforms. We got shirts, sweaters, all that good stuff. You guys hear it all the time. So stay tuned. We have more coming for the Gladiator, Tacoma, Winters. Hopefully XJ comes back soon, and we'll be popping bottles with those too. So see you guys next time.